It is July 1989. The Nintendo Game Boy was just launched. And although these 5 games may not have actually come out on the launch day of the Game Boy, these are typically, if you look it up, these are considered the launch titles of the Game Boy. And that would be Tetris, Alleyway, Super Mario Land, Tennis, and Baseball. And I have beaten all 5 of them if you watch my previous videos. That's what this channel is all about, is beating games. And I was having a lot of fun doing it, so I figured why not extend the fun and make a little tier list of the launch titles that I just beat, so I can move on to more Game Boy games. And I'll do more tier lists as I rack up the wins, the beatings on these games. But just I guess real fast before we get started, I'll explain the tiers a little bit here. We have the classic tier. That is basically going to be the Hall of Fame tier. Like, I made this tier specifically because I understand that a lot of people don't want to play, games from 1989 or like retro games, or, they just feel like they're outdated or whatever. You kind of have to have somewhat of a little bit of a sicko brain, or view a game as like an educational how games were developed type of brain to play them. But classic tier is like anybody can play them and probably enjoy it. Any like person who likes gaming, I guess, could enjoy it. Great is you maybe you're a little bit of a sicko. You're a little bit interested in, like, if you could play a Game Boy game, you'll probably enjoy it, for example. And I'll give a classic example would be like Pokemon. A great example would be like Kirby's Dream Land. And I'm using those examples because I don't want to spoil the games in this episode. Now, good, self-explanatory. Now, the reason I have bad, above average is important. Now, this is the same with movies. This is the same with music. And it's the same with video games. There's nothing worse than an average title. A good example of this is, would you rather play Superman 64 or would you rather play Starfield? Now, me personally, I would way rather play Superman 64 because it's just funny. The controls are so bad that it's just like, this is going to be funny to try to beat this game. And Starfield feels like it was not made by a bunch of nerds, and it felt like it, soulless. It felt like it was made by like a board meeting. It's not like technically bad. It runs smoothly. It's fine. I don't think there was a lot of bugs when I was playing it. It's just so boring. Like there's nothing. It just doesn't feel like it was made by nerds, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That is why average is on the very bottom. Now, with all that being said, let's get right into it, because I like making shorter videos. Tetris, I mean, yeah. There's not really much to say, because everybody knows. Not only do people know Tetris, they know this exact port of Tetris, because I think and I do no research, of course, but I think it's got to be one of the highest selling games of all time, highest selling ports of all time for sure, right? I mean, I can't imagine, maybe like a Minecraft port or something. But yeah, it's Tetris. They did it perfectly. I've never played a port as well, as in like it feels like Tetris. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really good. It's weird because I am a very big of a sicko, and I'm one of those annoying people who's like, old games have better or whatever. But with that being said, I do actually like newer versions of Tetris more. But this is an amazing game. I love Tetris. So there's not really much to say about it. Anyways, Alleyway is the second game here. A little bit more to say about this game, because this is Breakout. If you're not familiar with Breakout, if you're not familiar with the title Breakout, you've probably seen it before. It is essentially a variation of Pong, where instead of hitting the ball with the paddle to another paddle that hits it back to you, you're breaking bricks that, and then to clear the stage, you have to break all the bricks, and then you move to the next stage. What I do like about this Nintendo's version of Breakout, which is Alleyway, is that one, the paddle is a spaceship controlled by Mario, which is pretty funny. But also two, is that it actually has an end stage, which is I appreciate, because I mean, this channel's all about beating games, right? I love a game that has a boss fight. Elder Scrolls 2 doesn't have a boss fight, and it was fucking annoying. Wait, what? That was the end? Alleyway has an end stage. It's stage 24. And I had a lot of fun beating this game, especially because it took me like a lot of try. I would probably say like 10 or 11 tries to get through all the way through the game. Alleyway through the game, in fact. Jesus. Oh man, that really fucked me up saying that dumbass shit. It took me a while to get through the game, but anyways, when I did beat it, I was on 0 lives, so it was fun. It was a sweaty moment for me, a lot of fun. I would recommend watching that video. It was a fun video. Now, is it a classic? No, it's just Breakout port, nothing special, and Breakout itself isn't very, like, I don't think everybody would enjoy Breakout, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is it great? It's a great port. Or no, actually, it's not a port. Sorry. This is a unique game. I keep saying port. It's not a port. This is just Breakout on the Game Boy. I'm going to have to put it in good, though. I hate doing that because it is a good game. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good game. That's all there is to it. There's just not much to it, you know? Super Mario Land is much more interesting to talk about now. When Super Mario Land when Super Mario Land on the Game Boy came out, it was 1989. Now, in 1989, the Mario franchise was at Super Mario 3 on the NES. And that is relevant context because this game has unique levels. It has the smoothness and the fun of the smoothness of Mario. Around this time, there were a lot of platformers. None of them moved like Mario. That's what made Mario so fun. It just felt like you could master it. It felt fun zooming through the levels. I do love Sonic and I love Sega, but I always thought it was funny because Mario felt like you could move at a more fun, fast pace. But whatever, that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. I think this is a classic. Now, another thing, I should have probably mentioned this from the get-go. I have no nostalgic memories of the Game Boy, by the way. I'm doing this because I started enjoying playing Game Boy games randomly recently. I'm 32, so, you know, I don't know where that puts me. Like, obviously, the Game Boy was around. I remember playing the Pokemon games, but that was really it. But whatever. The reason I bring that up is because I have no idea if people like Super Mario Land. Like, I didn't look it up. I don't know what the critics say. I typically don't look at that type of stuff. But for me, if you enjoy gaming, if you've ever enjoyed a Mario game, I think you would really enjoy Super Mario Land. And personally, I actually kind of like shorter games. I like long games too, but I appreciate a short game. And Super Mario Land is only 12 levels, so that could be a knock on it. If you don't like shorter games, but I personally enjoy that. But 12 levels, it feels like Mario, and this is a mobile version of Mario in 1989 with unique levels. Very fun. The only other knock that I'll mention is that there's no Bowser, but there's still a fun boss, so it's fine. And there's bosses on every end of every world, which I love bosses. That was so yeah, end? Classic, easy. Anybody can play it, and they would probably enjoy it. Tennis. Now, this one also extremely responsive. When it feels like you're like, oh man, I think I hit the A button at the perfect time. It responds in that way. Like it'll be the perfect shot. If alternatively, if you feel like, oh man, I pressed that a little late, I pressed that a little early, you hit the net, you hit it over the line. So it's really responsive, and like I said, for 1989 on a mobile platform, that is really impressive. It's a lot of fun. Now, however, there is even less than Alleyway. See, this is why maybe I should put Alleyway at great, because I'm going to put this at good because of the things I just mentioned. The problem is this game is like, it's really one thing. They call them 4 levels, but the reality is Tennis just has 4 difficulties you can go through. It's just one thing. There's not even like I guess there's a 2-player thing if you have like a link cable, but you know, it's really just one thing. So I don't know. I definitely enjoyed Alleyway more than Tennis, but we're gonna put on the same the tier list. Oh, it's funny, when I made the Tennis video, I was so bored watching myself play it that I like fast forwarded it. But I will say I did play Tennis even more after I beat like the first level. I even beat the second difficulty setting later on when I was just sitting in bed bored. Oh, another side note, not to make too many side notes in this video, but, and maybe I mentioned it in some of the videos, another reason I got into the Game Boy games is because I kind of realized, oh, I can download a Game Boy emulator on my phone. You know? It's like the perfect emulator to play on your phone. It does suck because I don't like touchscreen controls, but since it's only 2 buttons, it's not that bad. Sometimes the analog gets a little messed up. I couldn't play Super Mario Land without button pressing. It's just, it's not fun at all. But all the other games I did play, I think. Oh, except for baseball. But that's a good segue because now we're going to talk about baseball. And let me talk about baseball. It's not like a bad, well, no, I don't know, because it is a bad game, but it's like also an average game because the controls aren't responsive. Like if it feels like, oh, I nailed that ball, it just goes randomly. I started to realize after watching myself play the game, and even something I mentioned in the video, is that I think what's happening is to master the game, you have to like hit the ball where the pitcher is throwing. Like you have to react to where the pitcher is throwing it rather than to like where you are lined up or how you hit the ball. And that's just not fun. You're basically rolling a d20 every time, which I mentioned in the video too. You're just rolling a d20 and you know, it's just random. And then I feel like there is a catch-up mechanic because once again, it's just random. Like at a certain point, you have to throw strikes, right? And when you're doing that against a computer, they'll just like hit a home run. It's just, it's not even bad in like a fun way. It's literally just rolling a d20. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in average. I played so many hours of baseball, and then when I like sat down to record it, because that's typically what I do. Like Super Mario Land is a good example where like, you know, and Castlevania coming up is the next video or next game I have to beat. I just like play the levels because a lot of these games are just like level memorization, but you play them a bunch. But anyways, I had played baseball a bunch, and then I sat down to record it just thinking, okay, I just got to beat it one time, beat the computer one time, and it took me 2.5 hours, and it just wasn't fun in any kind of way. So I guess it was memorable. I will remember baseball for a very long time. Oh man, now it's saying upload images to be, oh, this thing is messing up the aesthetic of my, oh, maybe if I do it like this. Oh yeah, there we go. And then what if I like stretch this out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that, editing on the spot. So anyways, that is my tier list here. I don't think there's going to be many times in the future where there's 2 like Hall of Fame classic games. I think this was, you know, launch titles. Also like Tetris and a Mario game is going to be a good time. Not any games in the great section. Alleyway is probably in between great and good. If there was a little bit extra things, maybe like, yeah, okay, here's how they could have made Alleyway great. Is that like there were modes where you could do like 2 balls were going, or like power-ups. There were bricks that had like a power-up on them and you hit it and then all of a sudden 2 balls are coming out. You know, that would have been really cool. I think I've played a breakout game like that, in fact, but that would have been cool. There's nothing like that. There's no power-ups. It's really just breakout, which is fine. It's good. It was a good version of it. I had a lot of fun playing it. And I had a lot of fun making this video. I had a lot of fun beating all the games. I can't believe how much fun I'm having doing this. And that's it. Next video is going to be December of 1989. This has been the Game Boy Years, I will call this series. Oh, actually, I might talk a little bit about a movie and an album that came out that year too, because unfortunately in December only Castlevania was released. So I don't know, probably be a short video, but that's it. That was July 1989, the Game Boy Years.